Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Leathercraft Community Podcast Show. My name is Steve Van Plu. Today, we are sitting with a very special guest. He is known industry-wide throughout the leather community. He sells and restores tools. He is the one and only Bruce Johnson. Bruce, thank you for coming on the show.
Oh, thank you, Steve.
Hey, I love that you live in California because I live in California. It's a very easy drive to get to you and your workshop here.
Oh, thank you.
So, can you tell the listeners, where are you located?
I'm located in Oakdale, California. Basically pretty rural town, north central California, edge of the Sierra foothills.
Yep. So it's right by the Bay Area.
Yeah, kind of between. If you go, we're halfway between Yosemite and the Bay Area.
Yep. And it's a very quiet, quaint area. Yes. So Oakdale is cowboy capital of the world.
One of the cowboy capitals of the world.
One of them. That's for sure. Yeah. So tell us, how did you get started in leatherwork?
I grew up with horses. And so, at one point, wanted to do some of my own repairs. I went into a saddle shop and the guy there said, "Hey, you can do this. You don't need to pay me." Showed me how to do some stuff. And then, kind of had an interest in it, kept going back and hanging out. And it just kind of followed from there. But yeah, I basically did plain Jane repair, hand sewed kind of stuff for quite a while.
Do you remember your first project? Like, what was it that you went in there and
first project was a pair of King Saddlery skid boots that I'd torn a strap on.
Interesting.
And I just needed to needed the strap resewn.
Do you happen to have any of your old projects that you started when you were a kid? Like stored away or anything?
I didn't start when I was a kid, but we had, I did the first year I did serious leather work. I did some Christmas decoration kind of things.
Yep.
They still come out every year.
Awesome. Yeah. And you must get a kick out of seeing that then.
I do.
Yeah.
And it was like I hand sewed all of that. It was like,
are they just like ornaments?
No, they're like little 12 by 12 tile kind of things with silhouettes. And actually they were pulled out of the old Stolman silhouette books.
Interesting.
Christmas. One's a candle on some greenery. The other one's a deer in a cabin in the background. All silhouette carved because basically that's pretty simple.
So do you do leather crafting full time, or is leather crafting your side?
Leather crafting has always been a side
passion.
Me. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. I started off, I did little stuff. Then I started doing more equine related stuff, spur straps, head stalls, things like that, repair work. And then the pinnacle that everybody in the equine business wants to do is build saddles.
Yep.
And so I built quite a few saddles and got to the point where, I've got all these tools, and you need this tool, but, it comes with 6 others. And so pretty soon you got a box of extra tools.
Yeah.
And so that's where it evolved.
Do you happen to know where any of your saddles are currently located?
Some I know where the first one is. It's still being used.
Interesting.
The last one I did it. I've still got it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome.
That's one of my,
What about the number of saddles? Do you know how many saddles you've done, or approximately?
Roughly around 100.
Really?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. I mean, some of them were rebuilt. Basically, they really liked the tree. The saddle was worn out. Just strip it down and start over.
Yeah. And then do you do any saddle builds as of recently, or you're kind of like put that aside?
Yeah. As the tool business expanded, the first thing I did, because I still have a day job, it would take me 4 weeks to build a saddle. And so that's 4 weeks of not doing something else. And so the first thing I did was I stopped building new saddles. Then I stopped doing saddle repair because I was, I'd been around enough cowboys and professional horsemen that when something breaks, you need it tomorrow.
Yeah.
It's not like you've got another one on the shelf. So I would do a lot of overnight repair kind of things. And, and again, that took time away. And so now it's, then I went to doing just small personal stuff, gift stuff, that kind of thing. And eventually tapered fully into tools.
So your website is Bruce Johnson Tools.
BruceJohnsonLeather.com.
Oh, Bruce Johnson Leather. Excuse me.
Yeah.
But it's all tools.
It's all tools.
I'm sorry. That's
Yeah.
what I meant to say.
Yes.
So how did you get involved with the tools and get that up and going?
Well, a few things. I had the basic tools I needed. There was an older gentleman in the next town over. His name was Sam Huey, Riverbank, California. Sam had been in the leather business for, when he died, almost 70 years. And Sam would be, if his garage door was open, Sam's shop was open. And so I would stop by and see Sam in the afternoon. He'd done some work with me or work for me back in the day. And so he'd say, he'd tell me stories about, going to the old saddle shops. And he had a lot of tools. That was his deal. Was Sam was a tool and a sewing machine rebuilder. And so he said, did I ever show you this? And he'd pull out a tool. And he'd show me how to use it. I'm like, wow, I need that. And so then he'd sell me the tool, but he'd only do it like one at a time. So it was kind of a learning process with Sam, and it was a way to get me to keep coming back.
Yeah. And how many years did you think you spent with Sam?
Probably 4 to 5 years, and
That's a lot of knowledge to take in.
Yeah. A lot of Saturday, a lot of, afternoon off, I'd pull by, like say if the garage door was open, I'd stop in and we'd sit out in his garage and talk about tools.
Not to give away any of your secrets, but how does one like yourself acquire such tools to be able to restore and resell them to the public?
Okay. Probably when I first started 15 years ago, 20 years ago, I was buying them kind of here and there. Sometimes you would find them at antique stores. Sometimes you stop at somebody's saddle shop and it's like, hey, I got this stuff I don't use. There was that. I really wasn't picking up a lot of estate sales, that kind of thing. There were other people that were doing this. Bob Douglas in Sheridan, Wyoming, one of my heroes. And Bob was national reputation. People, if they had a shop to sell, they called Bob.
Gotcha.
And so I was buying. At that time, eBay was a pretty good source of a lot of things. There was pretty open. So it's transpired over the years.
Yeah.
eBay is not quite the source that it was before. Then, looking at, we have Facebook that came on. There's Facebook. You can buy anything on Facebook. There's all kinds of, leather tools for sale, trade and collect. There's a lot of those groups. I go to auctions, and if I can't go to an auction, I probably know somebody that's going to be there that's like, here's what I'm looking for, here's what I want, here's what I want to spend kind of thing. And so I've got a good rapport with several people that are in the leather business that will do that. And then I got to establish a rapport with a few kind of general tool collectors, guys that deal in wood planes and saws and hammers and that kind of thing. Leather tools really weren't there. They were a sideline, if anything. It wasn't what they were looking for, but I'd buy a few things from them when they'd have them, and now if they're at a swap meet or an auction, or a tool get together somewhere, and they're scattered around the country. They'll pick up tools for me. I'll get a box of tools and say, hey, I've got so much money into this, is it going to work for you? And it does.
I've noticed, in my opinion, I feel like eBay is kind of like taking a back burner, and I feel like Facebook Marketplace is now the go-to place.
Yeah,
because
so.
Craigslist is just like a shadow, like
that's
long gone.
Yeah.
But Facebook Marketplace, I feel like you can actually,
if
you're like, hey, like I see this one tool, like it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I can kind of get a few bucks off, acquire it.
Yeah.
But eBay is like strict, like, hey, this is the price, and it's like, oh gosh.
Yeah. And then there's some things that I still buy on eBay.
Yep.
But there's, it's interesting. A lot of the eBay descriptions I see now are like cut and paste from my website. Somebody sees a tool and they cut and paste my price. And it's like they've got it in as found condition and, they want $80 or they want $150. And it's like, yeah, but there's an hour or 4 hours worth of work that went into it for that price.
Yeah. Because it's like they think that, this head knife that I acquired from my granddad is now worth $150, but it's old, it's blunt, and whereas yours,
and he sharpened it on a rock.
Exactly. Speaking of sharpening, do you sharpen all your tools, your edge bevelers and everything?
Yeah. I mean, everything, and it's been a work in progress. I sure have tools that I sharpened 10 years ago. I wish I had them back because I could do a better job.
Yeah.
But, that's just how it goes.
That's the growth. That's the process.
That's the process.
Yep.
And equipment, knowledge.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, pretty much everything I sell, I want sharp and ready to go, whether it's a new tool or an old tool.
Hey, y'all, I want to talk to you about the very first sponsor for the Leathercraft Community Podcast Show, and it is Leather Machine Company. If you are looking to upgrade your workshop or to speed up the process on making items, then look no further than Leather Machine Co. They have various sewing machines of multi-purpose needs, along with leather cutting and splitting machines. Check out their website or give them a call for more information. Now, let's go back to the show. Do you offer those sharpening services for somebody? Like, if I were to come to you and say, or call you up and say, hey, Bruce, I have a set of edgers that need to be sharpened. I don't feel comfortable sharpening. Can I ship them to you and pay you for that? Or
anything that I sell, I'll sharpen for free.
Gotcha.
But outside tools, I've still got a day job. I just don't have the time to do it all.
That makes sense.
So I've got tutorials on my website. One of the first ones I did 8 or 9 years ago was how to sharpen your edgers.
That was my next question. Is going to ask you is, hey, if you don't sharpen outside people's tools, do you educate them on it? And you, that's okay. And so now that leads to the wonderful question of compounds.
Yeah.
I cannot wait to hear and pick your brain on this. This is something that I've been wanting to know. Can you explain to the viewers about different kinds of the colors, and why would someone want to use this one color over the other color?
Well, basically, everybody's familiar with red and white because that's what all the hobby suppliers sold or sell.
Yep.
The white is a little more aggressive compound. It will remove a little bit of metal. The red is pretty soft and it'll clean, but it doesn't really remove much metal. What I'm doing is a lot of times I'm going from something that I've used abrasives on. I've used something with some grit. It's still got a grit pattern, so I need to remove that. So I'm going through 4 different compounds on a lot of my tools. My first one is black. It's emery. I get all my compounds, shameless plug, from Maverick Abrasives in Southern California.
Okay.
But I really like their black compound. My second choice is Ace Hardware sells one called E50 or E5. That's a really nice black compound. Pretty aggressive. Will remove a lot of grit marks. My next compound, I go to green. I used to go to white. See very little difference between white and green. So I've got the green compound. And then to step it further, Maverick has one called a purple compound, and they call it showroom purple or car show purple. It's for putting a really high shine on. I really like that. That is
purple.
That is like my next, after green, I go to purple, and it's like, wow, does this pop?
I have never seen it. I've literally never seen or heard of it. So that's
I got a brain rounder one time that I thought was chrome plated. It makes that much of a shine on it, and it was like, I need to find out what this guy did.
Yeah.
And then my final one, and I don't use it on everything. It's called Scratchless Pink. Basically, it's designed for plastics, but it's really good for polishing handles. It's really good for putting a really high gloss on metal. Like if I want this thing to really pop over the top, it's black, green, purple, pink.
Gotcha. So you do a 4-step process.
4-step process.
And
And they're on different wheels.
I was just going to ask, so is it different wheels or do you just do the same wheel?
Different wheels.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then are there any tools that you feel like, man, this is a tough one to do?
Yeah.
Any of those that you come across often?
Yeah. I think probably the ones that I've had the most difficulty with have been slot punches.
Slot punches.
You know, it's because you've got a finite, kind of, you got to maintain an angle, but you've got a finite, you can't expand the inside because then things bind. And so, but you've got to be level across. So side to side, you could get a really thin part. You could get an edge that doesn't, if the inside isn't level, you could get one part that's really thick. And so it's just taken some time to figure techniques and abrasives and angles to make that work.
Awesome.
And that's been a work in progress. And I feel like in the last year and a half, I've kind of got it. I'm comfortable with where I'm at.
Hey everyone, I want to introduce you to the show's second sponsor, and that is Leathercrafters Journal magazine. They are based out of Rhinelander, Wisconsin. They publish 6 magazines per year covering a large variety of topics such as how to do projects, event details, where to buy tools, and even a classified section. There is so much to see and read from cover to cover. Head on over to their website and sign up for a subscription so you can stay up to date on all things leathercraft. How long have you been working on restoring tools?
I started actually as a business in 2010.
Wow.
That's when I got a separate business license, tax ID number from the leather business.
Yep.
And so, and in that
So
time,
the business is fairly new then.
fairly.
But your experience is much
right.
greater.
Yeah. Yeah. It's, it started off, I was going to just, this might be 20% of the business. And I write a business plan every year.
Yeah.
Keeps the tax man happy if they ever, want to check and say, is this a hobby or a business? If you got a business plan, that makes a difference.
Yep.
So yeah. And, my first year, at the end of the first year, I thought, I expect, 20% of the total income could be from tools. Well, the next year was 35%. The next year it was 55%. The next year was 60%. And it's just like, okay, I see where this is going.
Yep.
And it was like with my limited time after work and weekends, it was like, this is where it's going to be.
Yep. You found it. You found the niche.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
You figured it out and boom, you're right in it now.
Yeah. And the thing about tools, not many people order a tool for like a Christmas gift. There's not generally a time frame on it. It's not like I need this for graduation. I need this for Christmas. I see all my friends that are doing Christmas orders and they're like, oh gosh, I hate December, and I was like, just another month to me.
Just another, yeah. You just, because your tools are just rotating.
Yeah. Yeah. And one year when I was still doing leather work, I had to ask people if they opened their gift Christmas Eve or Christmas Day, because that was making a difference on what order I was doing stuff. And the next year I thought, I am not doing this. I didn't take any Christmas orders and it didn't make any difference. At the end of the year, it was the same. I'm like still good. So.
Can you describe to us or tell and advise somebody who's watching, how would someone buy the certain proper tools or the things they need to, if they want to sharpen their own stuff?
A lot of it you're going to be able to find at the hardware store to start with.
Okay.
Hardware store, you can buy I like the diamond stones, DMT diamond stones. They come in like 5 different grits. You can buy them there. You can buy abrasive papers. Wet dry sandpaper up to 2,500. Those are pretty available. So if you're going to do it by hand, obviously it's going to take more time, but you don't have to spend a ton of money. With me, I've got bench grinders. I've got a 2x72 knife grinder. I've got a flat platen knife grinder. I just got a little Grizzly 2x42 kind of to play with, see how I like it. My nephew makes knives, and this may be something to say, hey, if you don't want to spend $2,000 on a knife grinder, here's something for $440. I've got Sharpening, a 1x42 from Broadback Iron that I really love. My sharpening has improved on a lot of things with that.
Awesome.
So, but yeah, I mean, you don't have to go to that extreme. A little Fordham, they call them a bench lathe in the jewelry business, but it's just basically a little variable speed bench grinder. That and some hand tools, and you can get really far.
Okay, yeah, because I feel like there's a misconception on sharpening tools. It's like, hey, I got to spend all this money for all the proper care and the proper all the little things, and little things add up, and so I feel like it's not that expensive.
No, if you understand what kind of an edge you want, you can get there by hand. It's just you can get there faster with a machine.
Gotcha. Yeah.
So to some degree.
Yeah.
You can also burn up an edge.
Now,
and that makes you say bad words.
Do you have a personal favorite tool in your collection?
Yeah, I've got a few. I mean, I really like history. I've got an H.F. Osborne draw gauge that's called a trigger lock. That basically it locks by a cam action. You pull back on the trigger and it holds the bar in place. Pretty cool design. I've had 3 of them.
Wow.
But yeah, they're not real common.
I've never seen one.
Yeah, one of the most historical tools I have. I got a knife from a partnership, English and Hubers. They were together like 1834 to 1836 in Philadelphia. And it was a definite time period. There were only those 2 years. And I got a knife, and I thought, I will never see another one of these in my lifetime. 3 weeks later, my buddy in New York sends me a box of stuff, and here's another one in it.
Oh my goodness.
And I'm like, the lightning striking. And then I get a draw gauge from a guy in Pennsylvania. And it was like, this is too cool.
Oh, man.
And that partnership, they were the ones that made the original Bowie knives for Jim Bowie.
Oh.
So, it was like, before he went off to the Alamo, I've got knives that were made in the same shop.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. And I've seen paper, like one of their paper ads. At that time, they were making edge tools, tomahawks, axes, knives, and other truck for the West. Well, who uses the term truck? But it was like, that was gear for the mountain men.
Yep.
That's what they were doing, And so it's cool to you pick up something like that. It's pretty electric.
Yeah. Do you every time I have an old tool in my hand, I always think to myself, like, who held this?
Yes.
And how many years did they, did it get passed down? And I got a cobbler's shoe tack, or like a lasting pliers.
Yeah.
And the part where you smack to hit the nail is round, and it kind of looks like it's almost like a cone.
Like a bell.
Yeah, it's like a bell. It's like this weird thing.
Yeah.
And on the side of it, it's printed or stamped October 25th. I think it's 1865. And so when I bought this on eBay, I got such a good deal on it. And when when it arrived, I took it out. I looked. I was like, October 25th. It was in the 1800s, and I was like, today is October 25th. And it was and I was like, God, it was meant to be for me to acquire this tool, and I love it. And it didn't open properly. Like it opened up like halfway, and he pulled. You can tell that there was a lot of grime on the inside. So I just took some sewing machine oil, squirted it,
Work on it,
worked it back and forth, and then now smooth as butter. Like I got all this grime that it kind of
Works
like
out.
worked out, and I was like, this is such a great. Now I wanna make some leather handles for it, so that it feels kind of good in your hand.
Yeah.
So I love thinking about who used these tools.
And a lot of my tools don't come with history, but sometimes I get some that do.
Yeah.
And it's like, those are the ones that, you get the box, and inside is a note, these belong to great grandpa, whatever. He was a harness maker, in Washington.
Yep.
And it was like, those are pretty exceptional.
I think it's very interesting. Like, I had a friend, she gave me a box of old tools. She works at the local Tandy store down the street from me. And this guy came in and just gave her these tools and said, "Hey, I don't know what to do with these. Like, we're downsizing everything in my grandparents' place." And so she called me up and said, "Hey, I got some stuff for you." And I was like, "Awesome."
Yeah.
And when I opened this box, like it just smells like old stuff, right?
Yeah.
It had some old Al Stolman booklets and pamphlets and stuff like that. And then it's all stamps and some there's some like there's a couple Rainers, there was basket stamps. I mean, just like I feel like the basic 14 to 16 stamps that some home person would have, it's there. And you can just like, oh, and there's like the letter stamps. It was just like, it was like all this weird, but it smells like old tools, you know?
Yeah.
So
it's like, I used to get, every once in a while, I would get old, because a lot of these guys took their tools home at night. And so they had a case that they held their tools with, little leather straps, the loops, all their stuff in it. They closed it up, pack it home. And at one time I built up, I had 8 or 9 of those boxes. And it's like, what do you do with these?
Yeah.
And my wife said, no more. And so a woman from Vermont called me, and she was cleaning out Granddad's basement. And she sent me pictures of all the tools. And I'm like, yeah, I'm interested. And she says, yeah, I've got the box too. And she just showed me the outside. And I'm like, yeah, I really don't want the box. Just put them in a flat rate box and mail them.
Yep.
And she goes, well, did you see the pictures from the inside? And I said, no. So she emails me the pictures while I'm on the phone. And it's these little trading cards from I think it was Old Gold Flake Cut Tobacco. And it was these girly pictures in the swimming dresses.
Yep.
From way back when.
Yep.
And it was like, these are too cool. So then I'm doing eBay really quick while I'm on the phone with her. Well, these cards are selling for $10 to $40 a piece, depending what they are. It's like, yeah, send that box, please.
Yep. Make a few extra bucks while at it.
Yeah. So I want that. So I've got that box out in my shop.
Is there now, do you have any tools that you desperately want or that's on your wish list?
Well, not necessarily.
Oh, so you have it just everything.
I've got some that come along that it's like, yeah, I'm keeping this. And it's interesting because my wife is doing leather work now. I'm not doing anything active, but she stamps off all the stamping tools.
Okay.
Well, I may unpack 12 of them out in the shop and put them in a little tray. She can stamp them off, and I get 9 back. She's kept 3.
She keeps, yeah.
So yeah, she's pretty spoiled and deserves every bit of it.
But it must be nice to be able to share all these tools with her.
Yeah.
And I mean, obviously she gets to learn.
Yeah.
Like, oh, what does this do? And it's like, all right, Bruce, show me what does this do? And you can show her with that.
But yeah, I mean, personal favorites. I met Don King way back when. Yeah. And so I really like Don King stamps. I collect those as a collection.
Yep.
Does the guy need 125? Probably not, but
But it's what you like.
But it's what I like.
Yes, right.
It's like, I like to see them. I like to look at them. I like to stamp them. They stand on their own as far as quality for the most part. So yeah.
Does a Don King stamp, is it leave a really crisp imprint?
The borders, I think Don King made the best border stamps of anybody ever.
Interesting.
I think Ray Hackbarth did the best lining and checkering of anybody ever. And I've got favorites and whatever, but yeah, Don King's flower centers are really good. Some of the basket stamps are pretty good. Some of them are just okay. Not bad, not great.
I actually saw some Don King flower stamps not too long ago, and they looked so good.
Oh yeah.
It was like, wow. It's just like, man, that is. And I'm not even a tooler or a stamper, but I mean, it's really nice to see a tool used, and it is just so crisp. At least those are the ones that I saw.
So I mean, I've got a weak spot if somebody calls me up and says, yeah, I got some Don King stamps. Would you be interested? It's like, it's not like, let me think about it. It's like, yeah, I probably am.
Yeah. Do you have any currently for sale on your website?
I don't right now. It's kind of one of those, not you got to be on the inside circle, but it's one of those things that I sell them occasionally, but a lot of them, there's 3 or 4 of us that are trading, it's like, hey, I just got these. It's like, oh, I don't have that one, but you don't have this one. So we do a little bit of trading. But yeah.
That's awesome. That's great. I mean, I just feel like,
Yeah.
it's like this secret collective world, but but it's so hard to get them.
Yeah. And I sell some at the shows.
Okay.
I mean, it's kind of, I don't want to say it's hard to decide what to take to the shows, but, I mean, I try to take a mix of things for everybody. I've got the $5 craft tools on the bargain table, and I've got Don King's in the case, and kind of something for everybody in between. And there's a lot of people that again, not to beat the Don King thing forever, but there's a lot of people that just want one Don King stamp.
Yeah.
They've been to Sheridan, they've been to the Don King Museum. They just want one stamp. They don't care if it's a beveler, a bar grounder, a shader, a basket stamp, a border, and it's like, I can help you out there.
Yep. So, that sounds like a little bit about like me. Like if I was to get into stamping, I'd just be like, let me just get one. Let me have one of all like the really, prominent people that make these tools, and it's like, great, I got this one. Like it's like the crown little jewel of the workbench there.
Yeah.
So you were mentioning shows. Now, how many shows do you typically attend a year?
We usually do 2. We do the Prescott show in February, and we do Sheridan in May.
Awesome. Yeah, because I met you at Prescott, and then I saw you at Sheridan.
Yeah. And I changed jobs 4 years ago, so I went from 5 weeks of vacation a year to 2 weeks of vacation. So that put a limit. I went to the Pendleton show a few years ago and really liked that show. That's one that we're definitely going to go back to.
Awesome.
But
I was at the Pendleton show this year, and I actually saw your banner hanging up there. Yeah, they had it advertised as Bruce Johnson was a sponsor. So I was like, awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, we donated gift certificates for the winners of each one of the divisions.
Yep. So, wonderful. Well, not to keep you too long, I got a couple more questions. And the main one is, if someone wanted to buy a tool from you, how can they contact you and buy a tool?
Okay. The easiest way to contact me is I've got a toll-free number, and that is 844-584-7866, or Bruce at brucejohnsonleather.com. Those are the 2 main ways. Some people, I'm on Facebook, I'm on Instagram, so Facebook Messenger, Instagram Messenger. I've got to apologize a little bit because, I do have a daytime job and I can't always pick up the phone during the day. And so that's an issue. But, we try to do the best we can. And then the other issue is that because my email is bruce at brucejohnsonleather.com and it's a domain name, some servers are saying, this looks spammy, and it'll go to junk files or whatever. So we're working around that. We're doing a new website upgrade this spring.
Wonderful.
And hopefully we're going to get some of that stuff. But I don't have a direct checkout on the website because, especially with the old tools, there are a lot of people that don't understand the limitations or the sizing. And so they're going to order something that isn't the appropriate tool for them. And that's where, if you can talk to me or text me, we can make sure you get the tool that you need.
Yeah, that makes sense because you don't want to buy, and then you have to do like the whole return thing, and it just it's like, hey, let's talk first. I want to give you the proper tool. That makes complete sense.
Yeah. Biggest misconception is I bought a 6-inch splitter so I can split 6-inch wide leather. No, you're not going to pull it through.
Yep,
it's just
exactly.
Not going to happen. So
you get like, I don't know, maybe 5.5 if best. If best.
Yeah, 3 inches if you're pulling, 5.5 if you're cranking.
Yeah, exactly.
So that but the new website may have, because we've got new tools that we stock from C.S. Osborne that we sharpen and make ready to go. I've got tools from Wayne Juski and Richard Brooks. Those are tools that we stock. So that potentially could have a checkout system on that. We're still looking into how we could integrate a checkout system along with, call to order this particular tool, figure out the shipping, that kind of thing.
Yeah,
So just some logistics that my web guy and I are going back and forth on.
Yep.
Trying to figure out if it would work or not.
Yeah, that makes sense. Well, Bruce, I want to thank you for your time.
Oh, thank you.
And thank you for, showing us the shop
you're welcome.
and talking tools. I think
Yeah.
this is fantastic.
Yeah.
I absolutely love the history on tools.
Yeah.
And it makes me, my mouth drops when I see all your wonderful tools and what you're able to do, and give them out to people. So I hope that someone sees this and buys a couple tools from you, because that would
or at
be.
least give me a call and we can talk about them. I like to talk about tools.
Yeah, exactly. It's just, I remember talking to a friend, and I was like, I'm very picky about the wood handles on my tools. Like I like just a standard medium brown, and I like the brass ferrule on it, and that's just I'm getting some tools remade rehandled right now. Because I just like it to match.
Yeah,
I don't know. It just looks good when it's on display, and you're kind of like, oh, when you grab it, and you're like, this looks so good. Like, and then you just use it, and it's like, wow. So, well, Bruce, thank you again.
You're welcome.
I appreciate you letting me come to your workshop and hang out. And so, well, you guys, thank you so much for watching. Take care, and I'll see you on the next episode. Bye bye.